is there a kind of a framework that you use to have somebody you can always reuse this no matter what the situation and go back to it and have the structure you need to present in a way that's going to be compelling?
One of my favorite structures, and this is usually the one I start with, is what I call the problem solution benefit model. And it's a really old classic, but it's kind of a cliche because it works, which is, what's the problem that you solve? And the reason why this matters is because the natural thing to do when someone says, what do you do? Is to say, well, I do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And it's all about you, not about them. So rule number one is that you make it about them. Make it about the client or the potential client, the listener. Who's listening and what do they care about? So the things I'm talking about in this podcast are going to be different from things I'm talking about if I'm, to a different group, to a corporate group, or if I'm talking to, different kinds of things. What matters is what's their problem that you can solve. And if you start out, say, with your introduction and you say, the problem is there are so many really smart people who know a whole lot about something complicated, and yet when it comes time to talk about it, they have a hard time being concise or compelling. And that's a way I would start. That's one of the ways I would talk about what I do. And then someone who's listening to that goes, oh, yeah, I know I'm not very interesting, or I would like to be more interesting, or I have a hard time keeping it to 30 seconds in a networking group or the Chamber of Commerce or something. So you say the problem because the people who have the problem are going to go, oh, that's me. And then you talk about how you solve it. But that's really something small, so short. This is like the first time you're talking to us. So you don't want to go into all the how. You want to talk about how you solve it, and then why should they care? What's the benefit? So the problem, the solution, and the benefit. And so, for instance, I would talk about how people have a hard time being concise and compelling. And then what I would say is I help them have a message that brings them the results they need and the recognition that they deserve. And I read those two, results and recognition, because those are the things people mostly come to me for. I work a lot with women, especially women lawyers who aren't being listened to, and women scientists a lot, and also women who are over 40 and not being listened to because they're taken for granted. So recognition, it is one of the basic human needs, and that's one of the benefits you get by being a good speaker or being a good presenter. But you'll notice that the solution, I say, is help them help them create a message that. It's just those 4 words. Then if they say, ooh, that sounds interesting, and I want that benefit, I want that result, then they'll say, oh, tell me more. And then I can go into the next story and the next story and the next story.